Hello everybody and welcome back to All the Mods 9. In the previous episode we built up the space station, decorated it a little bit, and moved up our refined storage system inside of it, and yeah. In between episodes I spent a little bit of time redecorating the inside of the ship. It's not too much, but I think it looks a little bit better overall. So inside of the oxygen room, we have this sort of little lab area where we're testing trees, I guess, to produce oxygen, something like that. And over here we have maybe some test tubes that are growing some artificial trees, perhaps, something like that. Then we also have the living quarters, which is just filled with beds. I still need a ton of wool to actually complete this, so it's not quite done yet, but yeah, this is where the crew of the space station would sort of sleep. And finally we have the sort of the living space, I guess you could call this. This is where we use our waste stone and come in. It's sort of a lobby area, I guess would be the best way to say what this is. On the walls we have these sort of paintings, I guess, and these are just made with framed trapdoors with various blocks inside of them, just to give the room a little more of a decorated feel compared to the rest of it. Similar situation over here, and we just have these benches where people can sit down on. So what I want to do today is completely replace our refined storage system with an applied energistics. So let's go ahead and jump right in and see what we need to do to actually get started with applied energistics. The first thing that we need to actually get started with applied energistics is to find these different presses that can be found throughout the world. We're going to need the inscriber calculation press, inscriber engineering press, the logic press, and the silicon press. And the way that we actually get these presses is by exploring the world and trying to find meteorites. The meteorites will contain mysterious cubes, and then from the mysterious cubes we get our presses. And the easiest way to actually find a meteorite is using the meteorite compass, but first we are going to need a charger to craft that. So let's go ahead and craft that up, and this will need power, so I think I'm just going to place it over here for now and put a flux point on top. And what we need is a compass to put inside of it. And I almost put a structure compass inside, which is a very expensive recipe. Here we go. And let's see, we should just have to right click that and bang, just like that, it starts working. All right, and from our home base, it looks like it's off in this direction. Let's see where we're heading. We're heading south. All right, and just like that, we've already found it, so really it shouldn't be too hard to find if you have the compass. So inside of here we do have the mysterious cube. I believe we just need to break it, and we should get all of the presses. Nice. How it used to work is you would have to go to each of these meteorites and hope that you got the right ones. So yeah, I definitely like this version a lot better. And I am curious to see if we are able to silk touch the buds here. It looks like we can. If we just regularly break them, I don't think that we get it. Yeah, we just get the block. So definitely bring silk touch with you when you're going here, because we will need Certus quartz and a ton of it in the future. And I'm pretty sure we're going to need these skystone blocks as well, so make sure to grab those as well. Alright, I'm back in the base, and I did actually notice that my refined storage system wasn't actually chunk loaded in, so I couldn't actually access my crafting grid. So I just went ahead and claimed just this center chunk. Actually, I force loaded all of it, but I actually undo all of these because this system is completely contained within a single chunk. So yeah, that's pretty nice. All right, so what I want to do now is actually get my budding Certus quartz just down on the ground somewhere. We don't need this to be in a permanent location, at least right now. So I'm thinking, where would be a good place for this? I think over on this side is good. I don't plan on putting anything here, so this should do for now. I'm just going to put these down haphazardly. These will eventually break down, I believe. So if we continue to grow crystals on them, they'll continue to get down into the worst version and eventually break, I'm pretty sure. And the only exception to that is the flawless ones, and we don't actually have any of those yet, so yeah, we'll have to wait to get those in order to make like a permanent solution. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on applied energistics. And the first thing that we're going to need to do is to actually make Certus quartz dust and the crystals. And we did actually get Certus quartz dust from the budding ones, so that is done on that end. But in order to make the crystals, we are going to need to have a fully grown bud actually drop the crystals. So what I might do is actually continue to explore the overworld and try to find some more, because I believe the ones that we broke actually weren't fully grown yet. I thought they were, but I guess they weren't. So yeah, I'll have to go out and find some more. All right, apparently there's one here, but I'm not actually seeing it. So it might be underground. Yep, there it is. Then go ahead and break in. Here we go. And let me actually check. These are large. Large, medium, large. Not actually sure if that means it's fully grown or not. Oh, but it does look like we got a flawless budding crystal, so that's good. Definitely gonna take that with silk touch. And let me actually try to silk touch these guys. We got the bud itself. Interesting. All right, and yeah, it looks like according to the guide, we will need the large crystal clusters to fully grow, so we'll probably have to wait on that, unfortunately. All right, I sat here for quite a while, and that cluster finally grew up, and it looks like the one that it was on was actually also flawless, as well as that one. And yeah, I don't know if it's worth it to grab the other ones, but yeah. And we did actually get 8 crystals from that, so that's pretty nice. And we're able to claim our first rewards. Next up, we're gonna need an inscriber, and this will actually allow us to craft the printed circuits, processors, and pretty much everything else that we need for applied energistics too. And this shouldn't be really too bad to craft. We are gonna need a couple of sticky pistons though. So let me go ahead and craft those up really quick. And here we have it, the inscriber. We can claim the rewards from that, and as well as the quest for the prints. So here we go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and place the inscriber right next to our charger, and yeah, this will actually allow us to start building our processors. And for this quest, we are gonna need one of each. So let's figure out how we make these. So what we're going to need for the logic processor is a printed logic circuit, which is just a gold ingot inside of the inscriber with the logic press. And I've just gone ahead and made a little bit of a system here to make each of the different sorts of circuits. So we have, for example, this inscriber has the logic press inside, and then we're just making printed logic circuits. Then when they're done, we can actually assemble them into the last one. So yeah, we have gold here, diamonds here, quartz here, and then silicon. By the way, I didn't actually mention this, but this silicon uses the same ore dictionary, basically silicon that refined storage system uses. So we already had plenty of that. All right, and now that we have a few of these ready, we can go ahead and start to craft our end game things here, and we'll need to figure out how to do this exactly. All right, and now that we have a few of these components ready, we can actually begin to assemble all of the different processors that we're going to need. So I'll just go ahead and put all of our printed silicon in there. I grab some engineering circuits and our calculation circuits. For now, I'm just going to make one of each, but I do know that we're going to need a ton of all of these. So we will get started on that pretty soon. And last up, the engineering circuit. So that should be everything for the processors quest. We do get a little bit of a reward there. And next up, we're going to need to craft a terminal as well as a crafting terminal. This recipe is pretty easy, but we are going to need a few things like the annihilation core as well as an illuminated panel. The annihilation cores are pretty simple. They're just going to be logic processors, some Plxgue dust, sorry about that, and nether quartz. Now, we actually have not talked about Plxgue dust at all yet. In order to make Plxgue dust, we're going to need Plxgue crystals, and the Plxgue crystals are going to be a little bit of a weird recipe. What we need to do is actually submerge charged Certus quartz crystals. By the way, these recipes or these item names are really long. We're going to need redstone dust and nether quartz, and we basically just toss all of those into water, and then after a little while it will form into Plxgue crystals. And how do we get the charged Certus quartz crystals? I swear I'll be able to say that eventually. We need to put Certus quartz crystals inside of the charger. Simple as that. All right, and now we have our terminals. So now we can move on to making our controller, which really doesn't look too bad. All right, and just like that, we have the ME controller. But actually, before we're able to claim that reward, we are going to need the cables. Cables are pretty simple. It shouldn't be too hard to make. We are going to need quartz fiber and a few Plxgue crystals. And then to make the covered cables, we just need to add a little bit of wool, which I'm completely out of, so I'm probably going to have to run around for a little while trying to find some sheep. And by the way, the reason I was gathering up more wool is we actually need 4 of the covered cables in order to make the dense covered cables. So that is the last part of that quest. And nice, we can go ahead and move on and collect our rewards for the controller. And now, next up, we are going to make the storage system. In Applied Energistics, basically what we have is access to drives, similar to how we have in Refined Storage, or we can use the chests. The chests can only hold a single cell though, so we're just going to craft this for the quest and probably never use it. All right, and here's the recipe for the ME chest. We are going to need a terminal for this, which is a little bit strange, but yeah, so that is that. Let's get the drive going next. All right, and we have everything for the drive now. That should be that quest completed now. Go accept the rewards, and now we do have 3 different paths we can take on the quest line. The first of which is the MEIO port. I'm not too sure what this does. Let's go ahead and read it. It allows for the contents of an ME network storage to be quickly rearranged between different storage media, such as ME cells and external containers connected to storage bus. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. That might be something we get into later on though. And next up, we do have the cell workbench, which basically allows us to modify the different cells that we use in our drives. The example that it gives here is the whitelist filter. So we could set up a single cell to allow, say, only logs to enter it. So that could be pretty valuable. However, I don't think that we're going to need that as of right now. What I do want to do though is head on to the next quest after that. That's actually creating our first storage cells. And the recipe for these is pretty easy. It's just Certus quartz and logic processors, as well as some redstone dust. As simple as that. But obviously we want our system to be an upgrade of our refined storage system. So what I want to do is actually go through, and I'm probably going to try to craft up as high as we can in terms of the storage components. At least gonna try to get to 1 M, the first megabyte. We'll see how far we go though. It will be pretty grindy in order to get all of these. Alright, so I ended up getting pretty sick and I've spent the last week or so in bed, so while I've sort of been recovering, I have continued to work on the system a little bit. And I did have all of these Certus quartz clusters and the blocks that are producing the Certus quartz down here, but it was a little bit slow. So what I've been doing instead is I have these auto traders set up. These guys have I believe that's the charger. They can use those as a crafting station, and we can auto input emeralds and we get Certus quartz crystals. It's 4 for 3 emeralds, so it's really not too bad. We just have a couple of those guys set up, a chest down here, and up here I actually have these auto traders with rotten flesh inside. These are clerics and they're trading rotten flesh for emeralds, and that's kind of how we're automatically getting these Certus quartz. And because of our mob farm, we can actually have we can pretty much fill these up completely with rotten flesh. And in fact, I'm pretty sure I filled both of these to the rim with rotten flesh and they're already empty. So what I'm gonna have to do is go ahead and refill it. But honestly, we do have a lot of quartz already. I've gathered up probably a couple dozen or so stacks already of Certus quartz, and I've just been going through and upgrading my system. And as you can see right here, we do have the applied energistic system all sort of set up here. It's very, very temporary as I sort of get everything configured. But what you will notice is we do have indeed two 256 ME item storage cells in here, which is a lot more than our other system. I believe we only had one 256. So, and taking a quick look at the quests, you can see that I have gone through and crafted these. Unfortunately, the 1M is a little more difficult to get than I originally thought it would be. We'll talk about that in a moment, but right now I'm just going to go ahead and claim these rewards. We get a decent amount of things. Honestly, I probably should have claimed these quests a little bit sooner. Probably would have helped us out a lot more. And so yeah, by the way, I did actually grind up all the way to 3 of these 256 ME storage components. I actually forgot that I had this third one, honestly. But yeah, so the reason I crafted 3 was because it does require 3 for the 1M, but in order to get the 1M, we need these accumulation processors, and these are actually crafted with accumulation circuits, which require these sky steel ingots, and these require the accumulation press. Now, the accumulation press is a little bit weird. We actually need to get to the level of getting singularities, and then we can actually use the calculation press and engineering press to craft that. Now, in order to craft the singularities, this is a little bit of a difficult and kind of a tedious process. What we need is a matter condenser, and we actually need to fill it with, I think it's 256,000 items in order to craft a single singularity. And I have actually made a matter condenser here. However, I've probably put a few thousand items in. It's gonna take a while. This seems really grindy. I'm assuming at some point we're going to have to automate this if we want to continuously make the larger discs. But yeah, the reason we built this system was so that we can finally move our refined storage system over to it and store our items here and get all of the auto crafting from applied energistics set up. I just think it's going to be a lot easier. Not necessarily easier, because applied energistics can be a little bit finicky at times, but I do think it's going to be a lot easier for what we plan to use it for. But the hard part is going to be actually transferring all of our items over to the system. I thought about it for a while. I was going to use these exporters and have a chest and then import it into the controller. However, The exporters, there's no whitelist or blacklist version of it. As far as I can tell, maybe there is a different version. I actually haven't looked that up yet. However, this system is not going to be easy to move over, so I'll probably do this in between episodes and just go through manually and pull out items like that and click them into our system over here. I don't know. It might be a little bit overly manual. But yeah, anyway, this video is extremely late. It's over a week late, so I just kind of want to get this out. Sorry for a little bit of a shorter one this time around, but I've been really sick this last week, so hopefully I get better and I can start recording a little bit more and getting everything all ready for the future. Anyway though, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Peace.